Good afternoon. Welcome again to the Columbus Metropolitan Club. There are folks as far as the eye can see. I'm Mo Wright, President of Raymond Consulting and Chairman of the Board of Trustees for the Columbus Metropolitan Club. Thank you all again for being here. Today's event, the Harrison Bill Smith Legacy and Civic Engagement Forum, recognizes annually the CMC endowed with Bill's name at the Columbus Foundation. Through this endowment and Bill's passion, and you saw already the award we presented, his vision is remembered each and every year. Today's forum, particularly Downtown Scioto River Renaissance, is sponsored in part by the Robert Wilder Company, The Ohio State University, Smith & Hale, the Green Fund of the Columbus Foundation, MKSK, and PNC. Please thank all of our sponsors for today's event. Let's jump into today's conversation. Central Park in New York, Regent's Park in London, Grant Park in Chicago. Great cities are defined by great parks. It's a rare moment in our lifetimes we get to bear witness to the establishment of a park that will shape and define our communities for not just decades, but perhaps centuries to come. 100 years from today, citizens will look down at this new project, the vision and the fortitude it took to build it, and these great men who helped to make it happen, and they will think, wow, Columbus still has swagger. Without further ado, let's jump into today's conversation with this great panel of leaders. We got something right in them this time, right, Mayor? Right. Welcome to the panel today, the CEO of the Columbus Foundation, Doug Kryler, Mayor. They made you mayor in the script today. Doug, I want you to know that. They put in the script that you were the mayor of Columbus. I don't think that's you yet, right? The mayor of our fine city, Michael B. Coleman, the president and CEO of Columbus Downtown Development, Guy Worley, and Guy will actually be providing an overview of the Scioto project. Doug will then come to host the conversation for today. Guy, the podium is yours. Oh, I'm sorry. Brian Ross, the chief seller of Columbus. All things travel and tourism.
All of us are sellers of Columbus, but yes.
Let's welcome Brian Ross from Experience Columbus as well. My apologies.
Well, thank you, Mo. And thank you for all coming out today. We're really excited to be able to share with you the Scioto Greenways project. A lot of people think we just moved a little bit of dirt around, and so I've been asked to kind of give you an overview of how we actually did this project. And I'm first curious to know, how many people have been to the Greenways so far? Okay. All right, about 2/3 of the room. So we're going to educate the rest of the room, and I think after you see this presentation, we hope you will be out and enjoying the Greenways as well. Let's see if we can get this to work. Of course we can. No? Hey, here we go. So this project actually was initiated. Mayor Coleman and President Ginther led a community-wide planning process to see where should our downtown go over the next 10 years. And this was the #1 project that was selected by the community. They wanted to see our river become an amenity. And it took quite a bit of time to get started. But on November 12th, 2013, we were able to start the project. And how we started it was we started to remove the Lowhead Dam. It was a pretty cold day out there that day. And it was one of the interesting things that we had to do was we went through a comprehensive permit process. We dealt with about 15 different regulatory agencies and got a lot of assistance from them. And one of the requirements was we needed to start this project before the water temperature dropped below 40 degrees or the air temperature dropped below 32 because we needed to save the mussels. And unfortunately for us, in October of 2013, the federal government closed. And so, as you know, every day that it was closed, we got closer to colder weather. But we were able to start the project on November 13th. And in order to do so, to meet our obligations in the permit, we had to rescue 4,200 mussels, and we relocated them up to the Ohio State University on the Olentangy there. So that enabled us to start, because if the temperature had dropped lower, we would still be out there working on this project until next spring. We would have had to delay the project 6 months. But however, we were able to get started, and we were real pleased with that. How we started doing the project was we started recreating the channel and bringing the channel back to where it was 100 years ago. Our river basically used to be about 300 feet wide. In 1920, they dammed the river up, and they artificially took it from 300 to 600 feet wide. Over time, as you know, it became a sedimentation pond, about 4 inches deep on the edges, 4 feet deep in the middle. It didn't flow, kind of smelled, generally chocolate brown. And we wanted to remove the dam, create a river that flowed again, which enabled it to clean itself and actually become an amenity for our downtown. So the first thing we started to do was we redug the original channel. We found a lot of things. People ask me all the time, well, did you find anything interesting? Well, of course we found a bunch of tires and a bunch of grocery carts. But the interesting things that we found were we found the city's first power plant. And I thought that was pretty interesting. So this is what the first power plant used to look like in 1889. And this is what we found in the last 2 years. We found the foundations from the power plant. Apparently our city, before we had cars, we had buggies, and we manufactured a lot of buggies. So we found a buggy factory, we found a power plant. And we are a great city of bridges, but we have been we've had a lot of bridges over the years, and we found all of them. We found 16 different bridge piers, and to give you a sense of how big one bridge pier is, that's a track hoe with the ram on it, and think about that ram doing this for months, removing 16 of those. So we found every bridge pier. There were lots of bridges in our city that are no longer here, but the bridge piers were left when they removed them. One of the signature elements of the project is right on the curvature of the river, right there in front of the Supreme Court. And this was a living river. And so this river was rising and lowering as we built this project. And one of the things we had to do in order to get out of the river was to build a cofferdam right there on the lower river walk. One of the things that I'm really proud of is our team, Messer Construction, Eigel. Those guys worked 730 days in a row. They didn't miss a beat. They went right through the tough, cold weather. I remember it being 4 below zero and hearing folks out there working. I was really impressed. I thought they did a great job. I also think Stantec and MKSK did a really great job in designing this project. It's really a great new amenity for our city. But this is the lower river walk taking place, and this is what it looks like today. So for the third of you who haven't had the opportunity to come out and see it, please go out and enjoy it. It's really a great new amenity. This is kind of what it looked like when we started there in 2013. You see the Lowhead Dam there at Main Street, and what it looked like last summer, and then it really started to take shape earlier this year. This is something that I've gotten a lot of questions about, and this is basically a riparian edge. And a riparian edge is basically, you see a lot of soil lifts and then plants. We basically planted 75,000 plants along this new mile of greenways. And that is to basically keep the sedimentation from eroding back into the river. So this protects our new river banks. We also planted, in this 33-acre park, which came to life, we planted 20 acres of sod, we planted 800 new trees, and it really started to take shape earlier this fall. This is one of my favorite pictures. This was the week before we finished. So you see the east bank is completely done, and the west bank is, we're just finishing up, but I think this gives you a sense of how changing it is in making our downtown a much more attractive world-class place. 33 acres of green space. To build 33 acres of green space, to give you a reference point, we basically brought 500,000 cubic yards of fill. That's half of that fill came from the river itself, and half of the fill was imported from around the city. All those construction projects, due to our economy doing so well under our mayor's leadership, we were able to use that soil from those construction projects. And if you think about it, that's 39,300 dump trucks, each dump truck holding 8 cubic yards. If you back them up one after another, that's a 140-mile line, 140-mile long line of dump trucks. So there are a lot of dump trucks bringing a lot of fill to add this to this 33 acres of green space. Just more views. So a lot of restored land. And one of the other real key elements of the project was we basically added the most important link between the Olentangy bike path and the Sada Audubon bike path, that new 1.5 miles of multi-use paths, so that we could connect the north and south bike paths together. The other thing that we heard was we wanted to make this river an amenity as well, make it a recreational corridor. And so that's what we have now. Folks really haven't used our river in 100 years because it was mostly a sedimentation pond. Now we've got kayakers out there, we've got paddle boarders out there. It's really neat, and so I encourage everyone to come back down, use our river. It's a great new amenity. And even the OSU crew team has been out on the river, and we're real excited for them to be back downtown again as well. Some of the great parts, I think, of the project, and my favorite part is Coleman's Point. We have been blessed in our community for the last 16 years of having the best mayor in the nation, and our board was really pleased to let's recognize our mayor so that people will remember forever his contributions to our city. And so this is my favorite part of the project. This is what it looked like on grand opening. And I think it's going to be the next great wedding/reception party place in our downtown and in our city. I think this is one of the new signature shots of our city. It's beautiful. And I think this is the postcard that we'll all send home. And bringing our friends, our families to our town, I think this is some place that we should really show off, because I think it's a great new addition to our city. So with that, that's my presentation. I'm going to ask Doug Kreidler, who's going to lead us in the discussion phase of the conversation today.
Well, for starters, I want to acknowledge Connie Smith, the widow of Harrison Smith, who no doubt is so fulfilled by the fact that this community continues on honoring the legacy of Harrison, a legacy that was, as much as anything, about having the courage of your convictions. And if you knew Harrison, you knew that that was very much the case. You got the straight scoop, you got tenacity, you got vision, and you had performance. And so this is such a vivid example, as is the museum, obviously, of all of that in action. So I think of his legacy as one that will be not only kept alive, but will inform us going forward. So to his partners who worked so closely with him over all those years, and more than anybody, to Connie, we hope that you're filled up by that celebration and this celebration of his legacy. So the four of us have worked together on a lot of projects over the years, but really none as enduring and as sweeping as this project. And to me, I would just say that really this project is it's not just a physical, very complex, difficult project with many partners and so forth, but it's also a value statement for our community about that nature matters, that beauty matters, that accessibility matters, and the common celebration of all those things that's embodied in doing a project like this and making sure something as complex and visionary happens. So I'd like to start off by asking Mayor Coleman just to take us back a little bit. The development of the downtown plan was a very valuable part of this that preceded the prioritization of this project. And so I'd just like if you could inform people about reflecting on the downtown plan and how this rose to the top as a way of background.
Well, the downtown plan was an effort to reach out to the community and to touch base with people all over the city to determine what should we do in our city to make our downtown absolutely terrific. The number one, as I recall, the number one idea was to make the riverfront incredible. And there were other ideas as well. Guy's going to be busy for a long time if all those things that were selected by the community, the people selected this, the riverfront, as what we should focus in on. But let me just say this, that the Sauter River, we did Sauter Mile back in 2010, is that right? 2010, and it was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Swing sets, and you walk up and down, and then you look over the banister, and you see this river that was 2 football fields wide. And it was smelly, shallow, and sorry. And with this beautiful Sauter Mile above it, and said, we got to fix this to make it usable, unique, and unmatched by any place in the country. In fact, this is more than a park. This is the 8th wonder of the world.
You mark that down.
Now, I'm serious. Here's why I'm serious. How many cubic yards of dirt were moved?
500,000.
500,000. How many dump trucks?
39,000.
39,000 dump trucks. We narrowed it from 2 football fields wide and narrowed the whole river. Made it usable, functional. People can now enjoy it with 33 acres of parkland on the side. This is a gift not just to downtown, but to all the residents of the city of Columbus. In fact, the state of Ohio. No, the nation. It is truly the 8th wonder of the world because of the kind of work that went into creating this. This is maybe the toughest project I have ever seen in my 25 years in public life. It's an incredible achievement by Guy Worley and the Downtown Corporation, and is something we need to be proud of because every single resident in this city owns that river and can enjoy that river and can be a part of it. And it's something we can be proud of, the 8th wonder of the world. That's a long answer.
No, it's great, and I think you're so nice to give credit to other folks, but I hope when you look at the Scioto Greenways and appreciate its beauty and remember its complexity, that you also see it as an example of leadership. That river is in the Scioto Greenways is an example of, in this case, the mayor, with all the good work of everybody else to execute, the mayor saying, you know what, we are going to do this. And so to me, it's not only the natural beauty, but it's also the human achievement of putting a stake in the ground and showing the leadership that you have so capably shown over the past 16 years.
I got one last story before we turn it over. Just real quick. I said, Guy, we got to get this thing done by November of 2015. And this was, what, a couple years ago. And there were two reasons why I wanted it done by November of 2015. The first reason was if I ran for re-election, it could get done. The second reason was if I didn't run for re-election, it would be done before I left office. So thanks for getting it done on time.
Hey, my pleasure. My pleasure. I'd like to make you happy.
So, Brian, give us an example of the magnitude, the importance of this in terms of how it reflects well on us and helps us, using Mo's word, sell the city to people going forward. Does it affect tourism?
Absolutely, but we are going to run back and change all of our marketing collateral. Eighth wonder of the world. Yeah. I think we'll get a lot of visitors right off the bat. So we'll claim that, right? But no, obviously it's yeah, right after the pyramids. Come here. It's dynamic, and it's very important to us because as a community we are very fortunate to have public-private development to keep us competitive. You look at all the choices that our visitors have, and we're very fortunate to have 37.9 million visitors a year in our community, to Franklin County and the city, and they have choices. And you look around in our other competitive cities, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Louisville, everyone is, even Nashville, which we affectionately call Nash Vegas, they are all investing. And so it's important that we have the leadership and foresight that we continue to show that we're going to put the best product on the table, and we are going to become a premier visitor destination. And whether it's conventioneers using this type of space for different welcoming parties, or if it's some of the families that we have come to our city, which we are known as a very family-friendly destination, you can see the wonderful areas that they have to bond and create memories as they go to COSI, the museum, the zoo, whatever those trips may entail. So yes, it's very important for us to continue the competitiveness in our industry.
Great. Great. So Guy, you heard it described as the eighth wonder of the world. Tell us about what it means to downtown specifically. It obviously is an amenity for everybody in the region, but it also has some particular importance to the downtown, development of downtown as a place for residential living and the continued expansion of that the mayor also put a stake in the ground about.
Sure. We've found as we were starting to work on these projects, CDDC, we have a really good team. And we have a great team. They're here. I wanted to recognize them because all of these things don't get done without their good work. And our partnership with the folks at the city, it really is a public-private partnership. But why it's important is we need to compete. Our city is making a lot of progress, and we've studied other great cities who have great downtowns. And I would say there isn't a great city without a great downtown. And one of the things that we learned was they have great green space. Millennials want to live, work, and play where there are amenities. They could live in the suburbs, or they could live in an urban environment. One of the natural resources that we have as a community is 150,000 college students. We've got them here for 4 years. We want them to stay here. So we've been focusing on building amenities downtown so that we can retain those folks. And Columbus Commons is a great example of how green space has been a catalyst for redevelopment. The Souda Mile has been a catalyst for the entire River South District. McPherson Commons was a great catalyst at the beginning of the Arena District. We think the Souda Greenways is going to be an excellent catalyst for the redevelopment of the entire western bank of downtown to the Souda Peninsula. 33 acres of new green space has definitely been a catalyst, and we've seen that in other cities, but now other cities are looking at Columbus. And how are we doing economic development? Why is our downtown growing? So we're showing off a lot of our assets now because now we have a good portfolio of those. Hopefully that answers the question.
So you told me about a conversation you had with the world-renowned landscape architect, Lori Olin, who said something to you that I think helps all of us put this in perspective. And sometimes we need to hear that kind of external validation for things that we do here to put it into perspective on a global basis. Could you share what his comment was?
Well, many of you been out on the greenways as we've been building it, and Lori is working on several projects here in our city, and he has the opportunity to work on great parks around the world. Frankly, he's a person of stature that is, I think some of the folks at MKSK told me he's the godfather of landscape architecture. When we were on the tour, it just pretty much blew him away. Lori said, this isn't just a great park, this is a huge civic improvement, one that he had not seen in any other city. Where does a city have an opportunity to add 33 acres of green space and then take advantage of their river and bring it back to life? And so he was just super impressed by that, and that just kind of validated that someone of his stature that works in different cities around the globe thought we were doing things right here in Columbus.
Great. I also want to point out that there are a lot of people in this room that played a role in this, but given that his name hasn't come up yet, I just want to mention Keith Myers and the great contribution that he made during the downtown planning process and all the way through, and the great work he continues to do up at Ohio State. So, Mayor, would you say that when you maybe took the first Gator ride with that is Gator being a vehicle, they didn't actually ride an alligator with Guy?
I would have if it was out there.
Yeah, well, it was never offered. Did you have a sense that this met your expectations, or did it surprise you with exceeding your expectations based on what you envisioned when you approved and mandated this?
Well, I mean, it definitely met my expectations and the vision we had for the area. What was so amazing about it is the enormity of the project, the complexity of the project, and having from where we started to where we ended up, and that's why I call it the eighth wonder of the world. This was very difficult. Taking out an entire dam, redoing the bridges, narrowing the river. I would never have contemplated 20 years ago that we could ever do that. In fact, I don't think anyone ever contemplated that prior to recently, that could be done. And, what's so great about it is that the improvement to the river and to the city will be generational. It will survive long after all of us are gone. And it will benefit future generations, future families, and those who will lead the city and who will live in the city into the future. And I'm just so proud of it, of the work. And everybody that participated in this, was doing it out of love, out of passion, and out of commitment, and out of a mission to make the city even better. And we have been successful.
The reaction I hear from a lot of people is when they heard the notion that this was being done and heard about its complexities and its scale, it was just hard to imagine.
Yeah.
And if you haven't
That's it.
been down and walked it and looked up at the new vantage point it provides you of the city, let alone of the river, it truly is a surprisingly awesome feature, not only to look at driving by, but to get down and walk and look around at your city. It's a whole new vantage point. And Guy, I just wanted to give you an opportunity. By the way, in a few minutes here, we'll have questions. There's a microphone here, and about 3 or 4 minutes we'll start questions, and very much want to invite you to participate in those. But I just, Guy, if you could, and I know the danger of this is you might leave somebody out, but there are a lot of people who helped fund this. And could you just in maybe some categorical ways make reference to those who we all owe a debt of gratitude to?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, this is a public-private partnership, as are basically all of these city-changing projects that have occurred over 10 years. It's kind of the Columbus way. The public and private sectors working together to improve our community. On this particular project, the City of Columbus was the lead partner on it. The state of Ohio, with the Ohio EPA and ODNR, are major funders. The Columbus Foundation really stepped up, as they do often on these big city-changing projects. Battelle was a sponsor of the project. CDDC was a sponsor of the project. Probably leaving someone out. But those are the main partners, city and Franklin County. How could I forget Franklin County? Franklin County has been a huge contributor, as was Franklin County Metro Parks and MORPC. So there were multiple partners. ODOT was a partner in this project. So it was a very complex project technically, but also a very complex project from a financing point of view. A lot of different political and private entities to work with, but we're very appreciative of all of the partners stepping up and making this a reality.
And also from a regulatory standpoint, right? You had how many agencies you needed to get sign-offs from?
We had about 15 different regulatory agencies to work with, federal, state, and local. And we also had the opportunity to work with 2 railroads. And that's always
That was the hardest.
And that's a fun experience. But really, everyone contributed to the betterment, and all of that oversight really made the project even better.
So can I ask each of you for your favorite part of either place or experience or dimension of this project? We'll start with Brian.
Would you like my favorite part or my schnoodles?
Well, both, I guess.
My favorite part is obviously the energy that the active river brings to it. To see people down there in canoes and kayaks and the crew team going and people walking around along the promenade, it does bring that energy to that area that we haven't had before, and I think that just invites more people down there to experience it. So that's probably the most exciting thing that I take away from it, along with its beauty.
Why don't we go to Guy next and then finish with the mayor?
So obviously, he's sitting here right to my right, and my favorite part is Coleman's Point. Because we're getting to honor a great American, and really, he truly deserved that recognition. So that is my favorite part, is Coleman's Point.
Well, I'll end up with the story. I go to the work that Guy did so well over the years, and I'd go down there by myself often, without security, because I live downtown. And so, like the week before the opening, I've been down there like 100 times, walking around, But a week before the opening, I said, you know what, it's a nice sunny day, and I just got finished working out. And I looked bad, really bad. I had my hat on, and I had a towel wrapped around my head like this so nobody would recognize me. And I looked bad. I just got finished working out. I did a good job that day. I was all wet and everything. Anyway, I walked down to Coleman's Point. I wasn't supposed to know that then, but and around, and I realized there was nobody out there. And it's because there were fences around so that nobody could get in. And then I saw, all of a sudden, I'm sitting down there, I'm looking around, I'm so proud, I'm sitting there, and these guards come out from everywhere. And he said, you got to get out of here. I looked around, I said, I'm just sitting here. I'm just enjoying the sun and just sitting around. I said, no, you got to get out of here. He said, well, Guy Worley doesn't want you down here.
We knew you
we
knew you were coming down there all the time.
No, so I said, well, I'm the mayor. And they looked at me, they looked at me again. No, you're not. You got to get out of here. So that's my story.
It's a good story.
Yeah, I stayed there anyway. But I love it all. It is a gift to the city. It is a true gift to everybody in this community, and everyone will enjoy this park for generations to come. It's one of the best things ever done in our city. It really is.
Well, it is. It is CMC's tradition to take audience questions, which we'll do now. As you approach the microphone, please know to state your name, ask your question, and we thank you in advance for not making long editorial comments. So let's proceed with the first question.
Well, I got here early. I apologize because I had to snake my way from the back. But I do want to say, first of all, that I am a guest of Moe's today, but by the next meeting I will have a green tag. So I absolutely love these presentations. They're just informative and engaging and terrific. I am from Cincinnati, and I happily raised my hand to relocate next year to my firm's office up here in Columbus. So I already thought Columbus was fabulous. I like it much better than Cincinnati. The park is stunning. But one thing as a new person to the industry up here that I guess I'm, and I hate to compare, Guy, I sort of equate what you do with what 3CDC does in Cincinnati. Is that similar?
Yes.
Okay. And then my curiosity is, in Cincinnati, 3CDC, by unspoken rule, owns downtown and the city proper. Anything that happens down there happens through 3CDC. The Port Authority has all the outlying areas.
And the question is?
Well, do you have a similar setup like that? I mean, are you all working collaboratively in all areas of the city?
Well, we work collaboratively. And as Guy said, that is the Columbus way. Actually, I established the corporation back in 2002. And with the idea of bringing, some new energy and some business leadership. And we work together on everything. We have the Downtown Commission that is, when there's building projects and architectural review, they will do that. And they do an excellent job, I must say. I'm very proud of the work that the commission does. Thumbs up. And the Downtown Development Corporation. We have a lot of efforts, but we always work together. City's a big part of it, but everybody sort of, sits in the room and locks arms and say, we got to get this done and let's figure out how to do it. It always starts with just an idea. And the question always, how do you make that idea a reality, and who can come to the table to help pay for it? I've made sure that the city is always a part of it, but so is the private sector. South of Mile itself was essentially a 50-50 partnership between government and the private sector. And the story on that is Guy used to be my chief of staff. And we went to AEP to see Mike Morris because we needed money to do this vision of the South of Mile. And Mike Morris at AEP said, okay, I'll put up half if the city puts up half. That's how I got started. And so we went about and did that. And many corporations participated, many governments participated, ended up between a 50% public and 50% private partnership. Then we went to the river itself, and again, it was a collaborative effort. And that's the way we do things in Columbus, and it works. And if we could take this model around the country to other cities, we can make those cities great too. Just working together can make a huge difference. Matter of fact, we should take this idea of collaboration to Washington, D.C.
That would be the ninth wonder of the world.
Ninth one in the world.
Good answer.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Jay Smith, Harrison's son, and to digress from this, Mother's asked me, and I certainly concur, on behalf of my mother and the rest of the Smith family, to say how thrilled my father would have been with the award and the addition to the museum, and that you've truly hit the ball out of the park. He would have just been deliriously happy over this. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andy Campbell. Guy, question probably for you. 33 acres is a lot of green space. I know you planted some trees down there, and they're not just saplings. What do we have to look forward to in the spring in regards to what you put in there besides the lawns?
I think it'll just get better over time. Mark Bargo, our head of construction, and I were out walking with our consultants yesterday, and we were we're actually very proud of our work, and every time we walk out there, we just see something new every time, a new angle, a new vantage point, making sure that the sod is taking root, the trees are growing. But next year, 800 new trees, it's going to really look dramatically different than what it looks like now. And the riparian edge, when it's in full bloom, those 75,000 plants are going to look just wonderful. If you went out there today, you probably wouldn't be able to see that because of it's wintertime and things have, the foliage and the leaves have dropped. But next spring, I think it's going to really be dramatic change. And then I think even better next fall when all the leaves are turning color again. It's going to be spectacular.
Can you just tell us a little bit about the kind of trees you selected? Are they native? Are they different kinds?
Oh,
sorry.
wow. Now you're going to get into the specifics. I probably have to have my MKSK team. But I think we have 23 species of trees and 11 species of plants of those 75,000. So there's a mix of Ohio native and cultivars as part of the mix of 800 trees.
You're going to talk about the lighting, too. Talk about the lighting.
Hi, I'm Beth Crane, and Doug, you said no long editorial comments. You didn't say anything about short editorial comments.
All right.
So I just want to add, as a member of the
Well
Green...
qualified to make it.
As a member of the Green Funds of the Columbus Foundation, I want to point out one of the things that I don't know that you stressed was that the environmental impact of what you've done is wonderful. You look at cities like Paris and Beijing now on the world news, and you think, we have 33 new acres of green space, and it's all wonderful. So that's it.
Thank you. Right. So there's one more thing coming, and it's kind of a surprise, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a preview, but the mayor asked me to share it. And the mayor had a really good idea. He has a lot of good ideas, and he's constantly challenged us to actually bring his vision to reality, and I think that's one of the reasons he created CDDC, to get things done. But he pointed out we've got this new greenways. It's spectacular. We need to light up Genoa Park on the West Bank right there in front of COSI. So later this week, and my team better deliver on this, we're out testing it every night, and I know many of you have been seeing us test the lighting of the steps, but the stairs are going to be spectacular. There's going to be a really great show. The mayor has his annual grand illuminations lighting of the Scioto Mile on Friday night, and going forward, I share with you to come out and look at the Genoa Park in the future. It's going to be lit up in a very unique way. So that's a tip of what's to come. This is his idea, and it's pretty cool.
The arches in Short North are beautiful. People love them. They will love this as well. LED lighting, and you can change colors. And have certain designs along those steps. If you stand across the river and look across the river to the steps, where the steps and where the stage was and is, seating is. It'll be a phenomenal thing that will, again, be another attraction to downtown at night.
Great. Well, thank you, Mo. It's all yours.
Let's thank this panel again. We certainly hope you enjoyed today's forum. Just remember, you can always review CMC programming in a number of ways, one on Columbus Television, on WOSU, through PBS affiliates throughout the state, and through the Ohio channel, and always on our website via our YouTube channel. Let's thank these sponsors again, the Robert Weiler Company, The Ohio State University, Smith & Hale, the Green Fund of the Columbus Foundation, MKSK, and PNC. Thank you so much for your support. And to our panel, Guy Worley, Doug Kryler, and Brian Ross. Just a moment. And to the mayor, who was probably the last time you're going to grace the CMC stage as mayor, but you're certainly always welcome back. Thank you so much for always being a support of ours. Thank you very much.
Thank you.